The day began like any other, with clear skies and the hum of daily life as Earth's population went about their routines. But as the afternoon took hold, an eerie shadow crept across the skies, turning day into twilight. All eyes turned upward as vast, imposing ships broke through the clouds, casting entire cities into darkness. People around the world watched, hearts racing, as news channels broadcasted live, trying to make sense of the spectacle. Suddenly, massive hatches opened beneath these Leviathan vessels, and from them descended creatures of nightmares. Enormous, wolf-like beings with the armored scales of ancient dragons and eyes glowing with a predatory light. They landed with earth-shaking force in the heart of urban centers, New York, London, Tokyo, and others, unleashing chaos as they rampaged through the streets. In rural Montana, Mara, a young woman known in her community for her skill with animals, watched the broadcasts in horror from her family's farm. The world seemed to be collapsing, but her focus was drawn to the creatures themselves. She noticed amidst their ferocity a certain calculated intelligence, a purpose beyond mere destruction. It was this observation that sparked a daring thought in her mind. As evening fell and the creatures inevitably approached her area, Mara saw her opportunity. One of the beasts, injured by military defenses, limped into the woods near her farm, isolated from its pack. Ignoring the protests of her friends and family, she approached it cautiously, armed with nothing but her extensive knowledge of animal behavior and an intuitive sense of the creature's intelligence. The beast snarled as it sensed her approach, its massive body tensed in pain and aggression. Mara stopped at a safe distance, her eyes never leaving its glowing gaze, and began to speak to it in soothing tones, much like she would calm a spooked horse. Slowly she took a step forward, showing her empty hands to signify she meant no harm. Minutes passed like hours, but the creature's snarls subsided, replaced by a low, curious whining. Mara continued her approach, her heart pounding in her chest, until she could almost touch its snout. With a deep breath, she extended her hand gently toward its massive head, her fingers trembling slightly as they made contact with the creature's rough scales. The connection was immediate. The creature's eyes, once filled with untamed aggression, seemed to soften, acknowledging her bravery and perhaps recognizing her intent. As Mara stroked its head, calming it further, she felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with disbelief. She had done it. She had reached out to an alien predator and instead of meeting death, found a potential pathway to understanding. Back in her home, as she watched the creature now resting quietly, Mara realized the implications of her actions. Perhaps these creatures were not just blind killers, but capable of more complex relationships with those who showed strength and compassion. With newfound resolve, Mara prepared to share her groundbreaking encounter, hoping it might change the course of the invasion and perhaps the future of humanity itself. The news of Mara's unprecedented encounter with the alien predator, which she had affectionately begun to call Ekko, spread rapidly among the remaining survivors in her area. Driven by the hope that these creatures could be more than just mindless killers, a small group gathered at Mara's farm, each person fueled by a mix of curiosity and desperate optimism. As they arrived, they observed the once ferocious creature now lying subdued, its injuries tended to by Mara with the same care she would give to any wounded animal. The skepticism in the group was palpable. After all, these were the creatures that had descended from the sky to destroy their homes and lives. Yet here was Ekko, a living testament to the possibility that these alien beasts could be reached, understood, and even allied with. Mara shared her insights with the group, explaining her approach of demonstrating no threat and offering assistance to the injured creature. She detailed her observations about Ekko's intelligence and emotional responses, which seemed so eerily similar to Earth's own predatory animals. The turning point for many was witnessing Ekko's calm reaction to Mara's presence, a stark contrast to the chaos and violence shown in the news. Encouraged by Mara's success, the group agreed to a daring plan. They would attempt to tame these creatures, to turn the invaders into protectors. Each member began to train under Mara's guidance, learning how to approach and interact with the creatures cautiously and respectfully. They used food, gestures, and patient, measured approaches to communicate their intentions. One of the first successful bonds was formed by a young man named Lucas, who had lost his family in the initial attacks. He approached a young, isolated creature, using techniques he'd observed from Mara. Over several tense hours, he managed to calm the beast, which he later named Titan. This success galvanized the group, turning their makeshift camp into a training ground for human-alien partnerships. As they worked, the group developed a deeper understanding of the creatures. They learned that the aliens responded not just to physical cues, but also to emotional bravery and confidence. The predators respected strength and clarity of command, traits they presumably revered in their own social structures. News of Mara and her group's efforts began to spread beyond Montana, carried by surviving networks of communication. Stories of humans bonding with alien predators gave rise to a movement. Groups in other parts of the world started to emulate their tactics, sharing success stories and strategies. It was becoming clear that these creatures were not the unstoppable force the invaders had intended. Instead, they were becoming Earth's unexpected defenders. Through trial and error, heartbreak, and small victories, the survivors not only began to reclaim their agency, but also forged a new weapon in the fight to take back their planet. And at the heart of it all was Mara, whose initial act of extraordinary bravery had sparked a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. As the bonds between humans and the alien predators, now commonly referred to as guardians, strengthened, an informal network of alliances began to form. Mara, recognized as the pioneer of human-guardian interaction, proposed a more organized approach to expand their efforts. She envisioned the pact, a formal alliance that would unite these burgeoning human guardian teams into a cohesive resistance force. Mara's farm, once a simple rural homestead, transformed into the headquarters for the pact. Representatives from various regions where similar taming efforts had been successful came to learn, share their knowledge, and strategize. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of urgency and hope, as survivors from different backgrounds brought together their diverse skills. Theo, a former urban planner with a keen tactical mind, emerged as the chief strategist for the pact. He worked closely with Mara to devise a plan that would leverage the unique abilities and strengths of the Guardians in combat scenarios. Their goal was ambitious: to retake major urban areas that served as strategic alien strongholds. Training programs were established, focusing on developing combat techniques that integrated human and Guardian capabilities. Humans trained in agility and stealth, learning to move seamlessly with their Guardian partners, who offered brute strength and an intimidating presence on the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Guardians were trained to understand and follow complex commands, adapting their natural predatory instincts to suit the needs of their human partners. As the training progressed, a deep mutual respect between humans and Guardians solidified. This partnership was based on more than just necessity. It was a genuine bond, a shared fight for survival. Teams of humans and Guardians practiced together, ate together, and rested together, becoming units of formidable efficiency and camaraderie. With the pact gaining strength, Mara and Theo organized the first coordinated strike against the alien invaders. They chose a small city that had been overrun early in the invasion, using it as a testbed for their tactics. The assault was planned with meticulous care, focusing on minimizing civilian casualties and maximizing the element of surprise. The operation commenced at dawn, shrouded in the mist of early morning. Human Guardian teams moved stealthily through the city's outskirts, avoiding the main thoroughfares patrolled by alien drones. As they neared the city center, the Guardians unleashed their ferocity, tearing through alien defenses with a terrifying efficiency that had been honed by months of training. Simultaneously, human teams deployed homemade explosives to disable the alien communication arrays, causing chaos among the invaders who relied heavily on coordinated commands. The element of surprise was complete, and the effectiveness of the operation exceeded even Theo's strategic predictions. The retaking of the city was a resounding success, serving as a proof of concept for Mara's vision. Celebrations were brief, however, as the hard work of securing and rebuilding the city began. The victory sent a powerful message to surviving human populations across the globe. The Pact was a real contender in the fight against the invaders, and their strategy of aligning with the Guardians was a game-changer. Buoyed by their success, the Pact started planning for larger operations. Their approach of combining human ingenuity with the raw power of the Guardians was rewriting the rules of engagement. Mara and Theo looked ahead to the challenges and opportunities of their next targets, knowing that each victory brought them one step closer to reclaiming their world. With their first successful operation behind them, the Pact's influence and morale soared. Mara and Theo expanded their strategy to reclaim more territories, organizing a series of skirmishes that targeted key alien-controlled outposts. Each skirmish was designed not only to reclaim territory, but also to test and refine the human Guardian teamwork under various combat scenarios. The challenges were significant. The alien invaders, realizing the threat posed by these new human Guardian alliances, began adapting their tactics. They deployed heavier armaments and more aggressive countermeasures, turning urban landscapes into daunting battlegrounds of high-tech warfare. However, the invaders' lack of adaptability to Earth's diverse environments became their Achilles' heel. Mara's strategy involved utilizing the natural and urban terrain to their advantage. In the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, Guardian teams used their agility and camouflage to ambush alien patrols, turning the forest's thick undergrowth and rugged terrain into lethal traps. In the flooded ruins of New Orleans, humans and Guardians worked in waterborne teams, navigating the submerged streets to sabotage alien watercraft and supply lines. Each skirmish provided valuable lessons. Theo meticulously analyzed the outcomes to refine their tactics. He incorporated drones captured from the aliens to enhance their reconnaissance capabilities, giving the Pact crucial intelligence for planning their attacks. These small, agile drones became the eyes of the Resistance, scouting ahead and providing real-time feedback during operations. One particularly intense battle took place in the devastated suburbs of Atlanta, where a major alien communication hub was located. The operation, codenamed Ekko's Strike after Mara's first tamed Guardian, was pivotal. A mixed force of human snipers and Guardian assault teams coordinated an attack at dusk, using the fading light to mask their approach. As the Guardians unleashed their fury, tearing through alien defenses with primal force, the human teams moved in to plant explosives on the communication arrays. The operation was fraught with danger, and intense combat ensued. The Guardians, sensing the urgency and peril, fought with a ferocity that inspired awe among their human comrades. Despite heavy resistance, the mission was a success. The destruction of the communication hub caused a regional blackout among the alien forces, leading to confusion and disarray. This victory was a testament to the growing effectiveness of the Pact's unconventional warfare tactics. As word of these victories spread, more survivors came forward to join the Pact. Training camps multiplied, each becoming a crucible where the bonds between humans and Guardians were forged and tested. Stories of their battles spread not just among the human populations, but seemed to affect the Guardians as well, who appeared to take pride in their roles as Earth's defenders. Each victory, each reclaimed city, built a narrative of resilience and resistance that fueled the Pact's momentum. However, Mara knew that their successes would likely provoke a significant response from the alien overlords. Preparing for this inevitable counterattack, she called for a meeting with her top lieutenants and Theo to plan the defense of their reclaimed territories and to strategize further expansions. The war was far from over, but Earth's defenders were now better prepared and fiercely determined to fight back for their planet. The alien commanders, stunned by the unexpected effectiveness of human Guardian teams, convened an urgent council aboard their flagship orbiting Earth. Realizing the gravity of the threat, they decided to deploy a new breed of monster into the fray, creatures designed specifically to counter the Guardians. These beasts were larger, fiercer, and equipped with bioengineered armor that made them nearly impervious to conventional weapons. Back on Earth, Mara received intelligence reports of these new creatures being deployed in key battlegrounds. Understanding the increased risk, she decided to concentrate her forces for a significant engagement that would test the limits of human-Guardian synergy. The location chosen for this pivotal battle was the ruins of Chicago, a city that once teemed with life, but now served as a strategic alien stronghold. As the human-Guardian teams prepared for the confrontation, tension and determination filled the air. Chicago's sprawling urban landscape, with its collapsed buildings and overgrown streets, provided a challenging but advantageous terrain for the defenders. The ruins offered numerous hiding spots and ambush points, which Mara planned to use to their maximum effect. The battle began at dawn, with the low sun casting long shadows among the ruins. The new alien beasts charged into the fray, their roars echoing through the deserted cityscape. However, they were met with a well-prepared resistance. Human snipers took strategic positions atop the remaining high-rises, while Guardian teams roamed the streets, ready to engage. The fight was brutal. The alien beasts were formidable opponents, pushing the human Guardian teams to their limits. But the defenders of Earth were not to be underestimated. They utilized guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and then disappearing into the urban maze. The Guardians, agile and fierce, clashed with the alien creatures, their scales flashing in the morning light as they engaged in deadly combat. Amidst the chaos, Ekko, now a legend among both humans and Guardians, led a charge against the largest of the new creatures. Mara, fighting alongside Ekko, witnessed the intense battle. In a crucial moment, Ekko outmaneuvered the beast, exploiting a weak spot in its armor that Mara had identified from the drone recon images. With a precise strike, Ekko brought the giant down, a moment that turned the tide of the battle. The victory at Chicago, dubbed the Battle of Ekko's Roar, became a defining moment in the war. Images and stories of the battle spread across the remaining human networks, becoming a symbol of hope and resistance. The victory significantly boosted the morale of the pact, proving that even the newest alien threats could be overcome. In the aftermath, as the dust settled over the reclaimed city of Chicago, Mara and her commanders gathered to assess their losses and strategize their next moves. The win was costly, but it provided invaluable data on the new alien creatures and affirmed the effectiveness of their tactics. It also marked a crucial point in the war. Humans and Guardians were not just surviving, they were prevailing. With renewed resolve, Mara planned the next phases of the resistance. The Battle of Ekko's Roar was not just a victory, it was a declaration that Earth would not fall quietly. The war was far from over, but the echoes of that day's roar reverberated through the hearts of all who stood against the alien menace, fueling them for the struggles yet to come. The victory in Chicago sent shockwaves through both the human and alien ranks. It demonstrated not only the tactical brilliance of human and Guardian cooperation, but also revealed critical vulnerabilities in the alien strategies, particularly their inability to quickly adapt to the rapidly evolving human countermeasures. Mara, now recognized as the leader of Earth's resistance, convened with her top strategists, including Theo, to capitalize on the momentum. They analyzed the captured alien technology and biological samples from the new creatures, uncovering weaknesses and potential strategies to exploit. It was during this intense period of study and planning that the scientists in Mara's team made a groundbreaking discovery. The aliens, despite their advanced technology, were particularly susceptible to certain terrestrial microbes. This vulnerability opened up a new potential avenue for resistance, a biological approach to warfare. This discovery led to the development of a virus specifically designed to target the alien biology without harming Earth's own flora and fauna. Mara and Theo understood the risks involved in deploying a biological weapon, but the desperate times called for bold measures. They convened a council meeting to discuss the implications, and after intense debate, the decision was made to proceed. A special unit of scientists and Guardian pairs was formed to handle and deploy the virus, ensuring controlled and safe usage. Meanwhile, the alien commanders, realizing the increasing threat posed by the pact, intensified their efforts to crush the human resistance. They launched a series of devastating attacks on several newly reclaimed human settlements. These attacks were meant to serve as a deterrent, an example of the consequences of defiance. However, the effect was the opposite. More survivors flocked to Mara's cause, driven by a fierce desire to protect their home and loved ones. As the pact prepared for what they hoped would be the decisive phase of the war, the human guardian teams trained with renewed intensity. The final assault was planned on the alien mothership, still ominously orbiting Earth. The ship was the command center for the invasion, and Mara knew that disabling it would cripple the alien operations on Earth. The day of the assault, called Operation New Dawn, arrived. Armed with the new bioweapon and supported by an armada of human and guardian fighters, Mara led the charge. The mothership was heavily guarded, and the battle to reach it was fierce. Human and guardian teams worked in perfect sync, each pair covering the others as they moved through the alien defenses. After intense fighting, they breached the mothership's hull and deployed the virus into its life support systems. The virus worked faster than anticipated, spreading through the ship's corridors, disabling alien soldiers and crippling their command infrastructure. As the virus took hold, the alien resistance faltered. Communication among the invaders broke down, and without their leadership, the alien forces on Earth began to retreat. The Pact's forces surged forward, reclaiming territories and freeing captured humans along the way. With the mothership neutralized and their ground forces in disarray, the alien threat was effectively contained. Mara and her teams returned to Earth as heroes, having achieved what had once seemed impossible. The turning point had been reached. Humanity was now on the brink of reclaiming their planet. With the alien mothership crippled and their command structure in disarray, the invaders were forced into a defensive posture for the first time since their arrival on Earth. Mara and Theo knew this was their moment to strike decisively and end the alien occupation. They planned a series of coordinated attacks across the globe, targeting the remaining alien strongholds to liberate Earth once and for all. The final stand required every ounce of strength and cooperation from the human guardian teams. They had to be swift and merciless to ensure the aliens had no chance to regroup or counterattack. The largest and most critical operation was set to take place at the site where the invasion had begun, the area around the now powerless mothership, which remained a symbolic and strategic target. As dawn broke over the battlefield, Mara led her elite team, consisting of the most experienced human guardian pairs, towards the mothership. The landscape was scarred by previous battles, with wreckage and remnants of alien technology strewn about. The air was tense with the electricity of impending conflict, each warrior mentally preparing for the fight they knew could decide the fate of their planet. The alien defenders were not going down without a fight. They launched a ferocious counterattack as soon as Mara's forces were spotted. However, the humans and guardians were ready. They engaged the aliens with precision, using guerrilla tactics that they had perfected over countless skirmishes. Guardians pounced from hidden positions, taking down the alien shock troops, while human snipers took out targets from a distance. As they reached the mothership, Mara's team encountered heavy resistance. The aliens had fortified their position, using the mothership's remaining energy shields to create a defensive barrier. Mara and Theo had anticipated this and brought in engineers to deploy EMP devices to disrupt the shields. Once the shields flickered out, the team breached the mothership, engaging in intense close-quarters combat within its corridors. The fighting was brutal and chaotic, but the human guardian teams pushed forward with relentless determination. They reached the ship's core, where Mara planted explosive charges to ensure the alien command capabilities were utterly destroyed. As they set the charges, Mara's guardian partner, Ekko, sensed something, a final trap set by the alien command. Ekko's alert allowed the team to evacuate just in time, avoiding a catastrophic blast that would have wiped them out. With the mothership finally destroyed, the remaining alien forces on Earth lost their last link to their command. Without direction, and facing the unyielding assault of the pact, they began to surrender or flee. Mara's forces swept through the remaining strongholds, securing them one by one and rescuing humans who had been held captive. As the final stronghold was liberated, a cheer rose up among the human and guardian fighters, a sound of victory that echoed through the newly freed cities and across the wilderness. Humanity had faced annihilation, but through courage, unity, and the forging of new alliances, they had reclaimed their home. Mara stood amidst her warriors, her heart swelling with pride and relief. The battle for Earth was over, but the task of rebuilding was just beginning. She knew the road ahead would be long and challenging, but for the first time in years, humanity looked to the future with hope and determination. The final stand was not just an end to the war. It was the beginning of a new era for Earth. After the dust settled on the final battlefield, the world slowly began to breathe again. Humanity had emerged victorious, but the landscape of Earth had been irrevocably changed by the war. Cities lay in ruins, ecosystems were disrupted, and the very fabric of human society had been torn and restitched in ways no one could have anticipated before the invasion. Mara, hailed as a hero and leader, saw the rebuilding of Earth not just as a duty, but as an opportunity to create a better world. She spearheaded the formation of the First Council of Earth, a governing body that included representatives from both humans and guardians, reflecting the new reality where Earth was shared by two intelligent species. The initial focus was on rebuilding critical infrastructure, restoring power grids, water supplies, and communication networks. Engineers and architects from around the world collaborated on new city designs that accommodated the needs of both humans and guardians. These cities were built with sustainability in mind, using salvaged alien technology that helped advance human technology by leaps and bounds. As the physical rebuilding progressed, so too did the social and cultural integration. Human and guardian children learned together in newly established schools, where the curriculum included both human knowledge and guardian perspectives. Public spaces were designed to be inclusive of all species, with large open areas for guardians and adapted facilities for their human counterparts. Mara often visited these new communities, her presence a reassuring symbol of the unity and strength that had saved the world. She watched as children played in the parks, a mix of human laughter and guardian chuffs filling the air, and felt a profound sense of peace. The once feared alien ships, now rendered inert and harmless, were repurposed into historical sites and museums. These served as stark reminders of the past, but also as symbols of hope, showing what could be achieved when beings, however different, stood together against a common threat. Despite the harmony, challenges remained. There were still pockets of resistance among humans who found it hard to trust their former enemies, and some guardians struggled with their new roles in a peaceful world. Mara knew that true peace was a continuous effort, an ongoing dialogue that needed nurturing. The annual Day of Remembrance was introduced, commemorating the first contact with the guardians and honoring those who had fallen. On this day, Mara would speak of the sacrifices made and the lessons learned, her words broadcasted across the planet. Let us never forget the cost of our freedom, and let us always remember the strength we found in unity. We fought side by side, not just for survival, but for the chance to build a world founded on respect and understanding. This new dawn is our creation together, and every day is an opportunity to ensure that the darkness of war never returns. Under Mara's leadership, Earth not only recovered, but thrived. The alliance with the Guardians, once formed out of desperate necessity, had grown into a profound bond, one that promised to guide humanity into a future filled with infinite possibilities. The war had given birth to a new era, an era of shared destiny and mutual respect, a testament to the resilience and adaptability of all Earth's children.